Around 1 in 6 couples in the UK experience difficulty in starting a family, causing anxiety and longing that is difficult to imagine. Medical advances and modern science techniques have allowed us to create life outside of the womb, giving thousands of prospective parents the chance to make a family. Due to the increasing demand, fertility clinics have established themselves across the country. One such clinic is the South East Fertility Clinic in Tunbridge Wells. I'm Heather Atkinson and I'm stepping into the Life Lab.
What is IVF?
IVF is a fertility treatment where a lady is given a combination of drugs over about a 2-week period. The aim is to get her to produce a number of eggs, hopefully around about 10 eggs, instead of a normal 1 egg that any woman would produce in a normal natural cycle. We then take those eggs out of the woman during an egg collection, and those eggs are put together with sperm in a laboratory with the aim of fertilising those. And then 3 to 5 days later, an embryo is put back inside the woman into the uterus with hope of achieving pregnancy.
What is the journey through treatment from start to finish like?
Initial patient contact is often difficult because it's a huge decision to make. Not only is it a big financial outlay, it's an emotional issue. But once patients have got over the initial fear of making that contact, they have likened it to me in the past to a roller coaster. It's a series of highs and lows. They cross over one hurdle and they go on to the next hurdle. And eventually they get to, hopefully, a successful outcome.
But it still remains a controversial subject amongst religious groups and politicians.
What laws are there surrounding fertility treatment?
All treatments surrounding human gametes, which is eggs and sperm, must be carried out under licensed conditions on licensed premises by licensed individuals. These are regulated by the Human Fertilisation Embryology Authority and ensure the standards laid down in the Act, which is the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Act 2008. And this is to ensure that there can be no treatment to human gametes which falls outside the law. These treatments can only be carried out on licensed premises, which is governed by and regulated by the Care Quality Commission, which puts us in the same category as general acute hospitals because we carry out surgical procedures. So there's nothing that can be done that would put in jeopardy a patient's trust with their embryos.
Can you explain the development process?
Yeah, so basically when we gather the eggs on the first day, we obviously inseminate them. On day 1 we then check for fertilisation. If we see fertilisation we then check the embryos on day 3, which should be around the 8-cell stage. Then we check them again on day 5, which should form something like this, which is what we call a blastocyst.
When did the technology that allows you to carry out this sort of treatment come about?
Well, there's obviously been development of technology over the years, but the first IVF birth was in 1978, that was Louise Brown. So obviously the technology was being developed up to that time.
This is a girl, as was expected. Baby's in pretty good condition, the birth. We can now hand it to our...
The baby cried at 20 seconds. Pulse meconium, normal exertion. Everything's normal.
Are there said to be any advances in fertility treatment that you're aware of?
We're making rapid advances in IVF and treatment options all the time. The biggest problem we have in IVF is implantation of the embryos. It's actually very easy to collect eggs, fertilise them and put embryos back. It's the implantation is the problem. Currently we're doing a lot of work on immune systems and the factors that affect implantation to see if we can manipulate the woman's immune system and increase the chance of an embryo implanting. However, we are concerned about the possibility of making embryos implant that are actually abnormal. So in tandem with this, we're carrying out embryo biopsy, where we take a cell off an embryo and check that it's genetically fit before transferring it. And that's an area that has huge potential.
Every parent wants their child to have the best in life. But would this extend to picking the best genes for them? To date, Aryanism, a scheme carried out in Nazi-occupied Germany, is the only example of selected genetic matching to occur. But as ways are developed to manipulate our DNA, there are those who think that parents will inevitably want to choose their children's genes and create designer babies. The Human Genome Project has already catalogued all 3 billion letters of the human DNA code, and barely a week goes by without scientists claiming to have discovered how yet another gene affects us.
Do you agree with the designer baby concept, and would you ever consider carrying out this sort of procedure in the future?
The designer baby concept is fascinating because there are so many genes in human beings. It's almost impossible to design a baby. I'm much more interested in selecting out abnormal genes or diseases that are potentially life-threatening or lethal to babies. A more contentious issue perhaps is sex selection, where a couple have had 3 or 4 babies of the same sex and would like either a girl or a boy. This is quite easily done, and I have no problem with doing that. I'll be happy to carry it out at the clinic if we are allowed to legally, but in this country sex selection for social reasons is not allowed.